like a box of chocolates.
Oh, yeah, the Great Bambino. Of course. I thought you said the Great Bambi.
It's the Al Travis Show, and we have Senator Eric Lucero on with us today. I really am happy to have him on. This was not going to be a good day. I'm trying the best I can to get the best guests on we can to talk about what's going on in the world. I actually got Dr. Oz on yesterday to talk about Health and Human Services and the money that's being ripped off from us. And I'm not having a good day, but I'm happy to have Senator Lucero on with us. Sir, thank you for being here. We can talk about that, but I'm in a better mood. I'm going to win the Powerball. You a Powerball guy?
It is Friday. I'm only when it gets to that $1 billion mark, I'll buy one ticket, because if you have no tickets, you have no chance. But if you have one ticket at least, you at least got a chance.
And is $1 billion your number? Mine has always been 100 million, which I don't understand. Like, winning 90 million would be too much work for me to go pick up the check. I don't play on a regular. It's not my deal. But when those numbers get large, like $1 billion, I absolutely will be out buying one, because, like you say, even God would have a hard time giving you the lottery if you didn't buy a ticket. You got to get in the game to have things played. So you will be buying one? How does it change how does that change your life?
And I have a rule of thumb. Generally, the Powerball is won by some obscure hole in the wall, out in the sticks, gas station. So I try to find the most rural. How would it change my life? Boy,
496 million. I think
for lower taxes.
Well, as you hand up over half of your lottery winnings to the tax man. All right, yeah, I just enjoyed that game of what I would do with it. Before I win, and I am like the most giving guy of all kind. Of the 496 million, I'm probably giving 490 away. I don't need much. I don't know that would be me after I've got it in my pocket, but I like to think of myself as a giver.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, here's what's bothering me today. No, once I win this, my cares go away, and I don't really care. But up until then, I'm going to go nuts. I've been trying very hard to get the true story, the whole story out and what's going on with the fraud in Minnesota. To the point we get Oz on this program, Dr. Oz, I didn't know this. I mean, you kind of think about half. Between the three organizations, Medicare, Medicaid, and whatever else, Department of Human Services, U.S., he is in charge of 160 million people's money. 160. There's only 320 of us in the flipping country. Half the people are in there. He said it was 53%. That was astronomical, but that all being said. We get him on, and I asked him. The president comes out and says it's going to be over $1 billion. And that to the world was a shocker, and I think that's why they're focusing on us. But we in Minnesota knew, because that U.S. Attorney Thompson, he says that billions. It's going to fly by it. So I don't think that hit us this well. But once the president brought it up, oh my. So the Star Trib comes out with an article saying, well, it's not going to be no $1 billion. What are you guys talking about? And I thought it was the strangest article ever written. If their point is the president exaggerates, okay, shocker. Call me shocked. I can't believe you think the president. And if not, like KSTP, I think came out, they did their math, $800 million. Am I supposed to be okay that it only comes out to $800 million, sir? If I go to the Quick Trip and the gal mistakenly, I give her 20 and she doesn't give me the 10 back or whatever, I will mention, hey, by the way, that's right, sir, here, and I'm not saying they did it. I will protect $10. Mm-hmm. You think at 800 mil I'm not ticked off? What's that story about? I don't get that story. Why would they write that story?
Well, first we have to remember, I don't know what his title is, but he's either the director or somewhere high up, the chief editor or something, that of the Star Tribune we know was a former Walls commissioner.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that? Okay.
Yeah,
I
did
know that. That's the first thing. Red flags across the board. Second, the Star Tribune, why would they be doing that? Why would they even write an article if it's saying if they didn't believe Trump is going to be a $1 billion or what billions or whatever?
Yeah.
What is the inspiration to even write an article like that? As you said, is 800 million okay? If it's just shy of $1 billion, somehow okay? Well, they're doing it because they are granting cover for their friends. This is what accountability looks like. And they are looking to deflect accountability and distract the people. And you brought, let me just tie into the Powerball. one of the things it's often, I say it a lot, is there are many limousine liberals, as I call them. I didn't come up with the term. That people that have a significant amount of wealth, they are insulated from the natural consequences of this poor policy and things like fraud, et cetera. They have so much money that those of us who are still working, it doesn't impact them like it impacts us.
Sure.
And so it also gives them the ability to continue to promote and make excuses for the miserable failure that Walz has been to Minnesota.
So now we get through those two things. I get Oz on the show yesterday, and I asked him, okay, where are we at? And he has no doubt. Now, this is the guy who's in charge of all the human services. It's going to blow past $1 billion. The attorney whose job it is to find it, Oz who's in charge of it, the president. Okay. But I should believe the Star Trib. They must have got so much crap yesterday. The story today in the Star Trib, this is how we came up with our number. And they're messing around and what they pick. Well, guess what? We've only got $156 million that has been pled guilty to in court. We're going through the court thing. We may never know the ultimate total. There are going to be people that got by with stuff that we'll never go because it's $80,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? We're never going to get there. But they had to write a story about why their non-story was a story yesterday and how they got to their number for non-story.
Well, exactly.
Now, today, and this is what's bothering me, Senator, via KSTP. So this is, you guys aren't just battling that paper. Over the course of 14 meetings, the Republican-controlled House Fraud Committee has focused attention on fraud. However, there's no evidence this committee has stopped any fraud since it started in February of 2025. That's their story, sir. You Republicans have not stopped this fraud. That's what they came with.
So there's so many things wrong with that story. First, we are not in a budget year. Last year, the previous year was actually, I guess it was 25 here was the budget year. But the fraud committee, it does not have jurisdiction over any budgets.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the fraud committee is to bring visibility, to highlight, and to investigate. Yeah. That is their job. After there is information that's discovered through investigation, through testimony, et cetera, then it would be other committees that would have jurisdiction. So how would you pass a bill? You would have to get it through the Democrat-controlled Senate. You'd have to get it signed into law by the Democrat-controlled governor. And so this article from KSTP, what an incredible disappointment, because they are deliberately misleading their audience who's reading these articles.
14 meetings, people. They have not stopped the fraud, these nasty Republicans. But don't look at the fact we've had the same people in charge for the last 10 or last 50 years, you want, but the last 10 when all this fraud's going, don't look at them. And here's the other thing, folks, just so you understand. This fraud committee gets set up in February. I think we are out at end of March this year, maybe it was May. And that session's over. These guys are doing nothing but meeting, trying to find stuff. They can do nothing until everybody gets back in February.
So of those 14 meetings, you are correct. We adjourned in May, and we don't come back into session until February 17th of 2026. So
how dare you not do something in the House when you aren't in the House?
So if you think about, we adjourned in May. How many of those 14 sessions, many of those even occurred when we were in session? I bet half of those have occurred in the interim.
This is my point, and I know you'd understand. This is about as crappy between this and the Star coming out and saying, this isn't going to be $1 billion. People, don't fall for this crap. This is unbelievable that an article, a guy would come out in KSB and say that, hey, these darn Republicans aren't doing their work. Now, we can talk about how all this got set up, and I want to do it on the other side because some of this fraud is just off the chart in my book. We'll do that with Senator Eric Lucero right after this on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Tired of one-sided media and divisive noise drowning out your conservative values? Take back the conversation with Braver Angels. Join a grassroots movement to restore civility and find common ground without compromising your principles. As a conservative, your voice matters. Share your perspective on issues like immigration and public health in Red Blue workshops and help rebuild trust in our great nation. Be a leader in depolarizing America. Sign up for free at mn.braverangels.org. Braver Angels, where conservatives, liberals, and independents unite for a stronger republic.
Are you kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS-SHOW.
Happy to have him on. Senator Lucero on the program with us. Sir, I am going to ask a favor from you and all the Republicans when we're done with this little bit right here, and I'm going to lead to it. We set up an autism program. People in, I think, Minnesota want to help autistic kids out. I got no problem with that. $3 million, something like that, set aside. In 4 years, it's up to $400 million. When you look into it, like some people have now, you didn't have to be autistic. You didn't have a doctor's opinion saying you were autistic. Your parents just had to sign you up. And what do you know? Some of these places that opened up as autistic centers were paying people back. Say, give me your kid. Well, your name at least, and we'll do this. The person who set it up, Al's Autism Center, Al does not have to have a license in any way for doing that. He doesn't even have to have a teacher's certificate, non-medical, nothing. Just Al's Autism Center. And what do you know? We have no results looking for. Do they get them off this program after 6 months? Nothing. It's never ending. This is the brilliance that we had when we set this one up, and we're robbed blind.
So one of the things that I've been saying in committee for years now, and others, other Republicans have been, these grant programs, these different systems that are being set up and established by the legislature, and when the Democrats had full control of state government, they set up these programs with little to no metrics. What are the goals that we actually are after? How do we demonstrate that we've achieved those goals? What are the metrics? And to report back, get some kind of feedback to us that demonstrates effectiveness in the program. 2, ensuring that there are checks and balances or controls in place to ensure that this kind of fraud doesn't happen. To have criteria. None of these things are there. They're all absent. And so it's just a bucket of money given to the executive branch and allowing them to run wild with it. And this is the result. We should not be shocked because this almost seems like it was by design. to have this fraud.
That is exactly my point. There's no way I, as just a stupid radio guy, could come up with a better plan than what this was to help autistic kids out. Okay, but the federal government at least involved, right? They're going to come here. They're going to take a look around. We're going to look under the hood. But here's the problem I've got and I want to talk to you about. This paid family leave program, this is a Minnesota thing. This is not a federal. There's nobody above our governor, our human services, whoever's running this thing in Minnesota to take care of business. This is going to stop with us. And, sir, you can't get any crazier than this. A teacher who's off for the summer can apply for paid medical family leave to take care of, as long as your mother's sick or whatever. You can pay even when you're not working to get paid to not to work. And my wife, a teacher, said that isn't true. I said, it is. Go look it up. It is. And
it is true.
You can have, I have 7 brothers and sisters, the 7 of us. My mother gets ill, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. All 7 of us can take time off. Well, what are we going to do? Take 2-hour shifts? No, here's what you find out. You don't even have to see the human. I can take care of my mother from my home by calling once a day to make sure she's okay. Sending a text, make sure she's good. Mental help is what they call it. Sir, you can have a baby or have a baby this year. The program doesn't start till next year. You can apply and get retroactive, go see your baby for the first 6 months time out because you didn't get it before the program started.
That's right.
Sir, the fraud in this is going to be off the flipping charts.
That's right.
We will, and here's my question. Here's what I'm asking you to do for me. Can the Republicans hoot and holler enough? They put a pause on the housing stability thing because there's just so much fraud in it. They put a pause on it for 6 months. Can we pressure this governor to put a pause on this program up until you guys can get back in session and put not even a guardrail, I'm flipping the Velcro sticker on it to guess, find me a way of making this better. Can we get him to put pause on this until February?
I would love to eliminate it permanently, but no, to answer your question, no, that can't happen. Here's why. Having a program or some kind of a grant program that requires applicants to submit applications and then award dollars, that's different than this program you're talking about, the paid family leave. That's a statutory program with requirements that are in statute on when it is set up and things like that. In fact, its first day is January 1. The Democrats so rejected all of our feedback. We made multiple amendments, multiple attempts to put controls in place on this, including January 1st, New Year's Day, is a holiday. That's when this program starts. They even rejected our amendment to move it to January 2nd. So this brand new system starts on January 1st, and there's no government employees to even handle or take calls because it's a holiday.
But this is a cluster from day one, and here's another reason. So if you have the ability as a business, if you can find somebody to manage this same program or better, time off teachers and those sort of things, you can opt out and do that. You can have your people follow that plan or better have somebody administer it. That sounds great. But no one can tell me, then does that mean that business does not have to pay the tax in for their employees? Am I not, if I work for a school district, do I not have to pay my tax in? In which case you're like, wait a minute, the rest of us are paying double up then. How is that fair?
That's a good point. I do not know the answer to that offhand.
No one. I've asked a dozen people. No one knows. You can't look it up. If the company's opting out because we went with a better plan, is the company paying twice? Once for that better plan, and then once the rest of us are throwing in. I'm going to bet you it's not, in which case the rest of us are going to get screwed over with all those that are screwing around because we're paying the bigger portion.
And so this is going to be filled with so much fraud. It's going to the dollar amount in there is going to be it's going to be exhausted in short order. They're going to have to raise the tax, and that's going to increase not only in the business but also on the employee paying for that. And I was at a business, one of my great businesses in my district just earlier this week, and he's got 60 employees in his business, and there are so many things that are problems with this. But one of them is when the employee goes away, they have to not only do they have to bring in somebody temporary while that employee is away, then they have to hold that position for when the employee comes back. So depending on the industry, think of the amount of training that might be required in the skill set. It's just not practical, and it's going to explode costs. Those costs get passed on to Minnesotans to pay.
Let's go one step further than that. You would hire somebody, train somebody to fill in for your employee who's going to be gone for 20 weeks. Employee comes back, they got to get their job. Now you got a fully trained employee, but you don't have a spot for him, so you say, I'm sorry, I'm letting you go. That employee now gets unemployment insurance, which every business is. Every time you put another one on that, your rates go up. This is wrong from every way from Sunday, and that's why we got to find out if there's any way to pause it, but you're saying not. I got to fly. Thanks for putting up with me on a Friday when I'm just not in the mood. I better win this Powerball. That's about the only thing going to change my mind right now.
Well, hey, no, always a pleasure to join you. And yes, your attitude and your anger right now, your passion, this is how we are every day in committees on the floor when we're in session. That's
why I'm a radio guy and not and want to be a representative or a senator, because I can get it out of my system here and I don't have to listen to all the, what this is going to be good for us when you know 100% it's not. Got to fly. Appreciate you, my friend. Have a good one. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Take care.
Senator Eric Lucero.